Hello and welcome again to another exciting instalment of Geek Lunch Meat. I'm your host Chris, bringing you all the latest news and reviews. Unbelievably, just as I started filming, exactly the same as last week, a bloody fly has come in and is buzzing around. Hopefully he won't annoy things too much. Perhaps it's Jeff Goldblum. Perhaps Jeff's trying to get an appearance on the show. If so, just give us a buzz, Jeff, and we'll have you on as a guest, no problem. Right, we've got some news this week and then some reviews, especially a review of Black Widow, released at long last. But to start off with some sad news, first of all, this week saw the passing of Richard Donner, who directed, amongst other things, The Omen and the Lethal Weapon films. But and a lot of geeks out there, he's probably best known for making us believe a man could fly with Superman movies back in the late 70s, early 80s. I still think Superman and Superman 2 are hands down the best examples of Superman on the screen to this day. And of course, he gave us the legendary Goonies. Never been bettered as a kid's film, in my opinion. I, funnily enough, just watched it the other week, just before learning of his passing. Still holds up. Absolutely fantastic film. I watch it on a regular basis. Absolutely love it. I remember going to see it at the cinema as a kid. I think it was, I forgot, it was on Boxing Day one year, just after Christmas. Yeah, absolutely loved it, and yeah, he'll be sorely missed. So yeah, rest in peace, Richard Donner. On to the news this week. First of all, we got the Marvel What If trailer. I will drop a link in the description below, as always, because I'm nice like that. It is basically a new animated series coming to Disney Plus, August the 11th. Don't know if they're all dropping at once, or I assume on Disney Plus, I suspect there might be 2 episodes and then an episode a week. And it is essentially alternate takes, bringing in the sort of that multiverse feel again, which obviously the whole of the Marvel is sort of building towards. That keeps getting mentioned. Going to play a big part in Phase 4 of the MCU. The animation looks absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous, and it looks like we've got looks like we've got what if Tony Stark was rescued by Killmonger from Black Panther. There's what if Peggy Carter became Captain Britain by the looks of it. She's got the shield with the Union Jack on it. And there's Black Panther as a Ravager hanging around with Yondu. That's sort of the main stuff they showed. So I'm wondering if that'd be the first 3 episodes. And there's some other bits and pieces showing other stuff, including what looks like a take on the Marvel Zombies comic books. Definitely some zombified versions of the Avengers in there. So yeah, that looks that looks absolutely gorgeous. So that's coming August the 11th. What else do we have this week? Oh, news that Netflix are doing a prequel to Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which I reviewed a few episodes back, with the zombies in Vegas, and basically a heist film with Dave Bautista amongst others, trying to break into a safe. Now the prequel is going to be called Army of Thieves, and it's going to be starring the character Dieter, who was the safecracker in Army of the Dead, who probably was one of the best characters. He was quite a funny character. So yeah, the fact they're doing a prequel, it makes me wonder, because obviously the zombie whole thing was sort of isolated to Las Vegas. So I'm assuming that doesn't play a part of it, and this is just a heist movie that they're just sort of cashing in on the Army of the Dead name. But we'll see. Epoxy fly is annoying me, but right, we'll carry on. So yes, this is an expansion to this universe there, because they're also doing Lost Vegas, which is an anime series, which is going to show how the outbreak actually spread, how it actually sort of spread through Las Vegas at the beginning. So they are expanding this out. I wonder, because obviously there's the whole bits in the Army of the Dead movie with the what looks like the robotic zombies, and then the whole idea that sort of it indicates that maybe this is a time loop and this has been done before. Not really explained or expanded upon, just sort of randomly thrown in there. Maybe these things are going to go. Maybe these other shows are going to expand on that. Army of Thieves, so I don't know, because I suspect it just looks like a heist film. But we'll see with that one. But no news on when that's coming out. I expect that might be till next year. I think we'll probably get the Las Vegas anime series first. Also this week, the obligatory Indiana Jones 5 news. Currently still filming in Glasgow. So contrary to the reports, as we said last week, about that it was going to be on a hiatus for 3 months. That's not the case. They're filming, and they are making a bunch of Glasgow streets look like possibly New York. And some photos were taken, and we absolutely get the best idea of where the plot is going, because there were all the rumours about it being in the 60s and about the space race. And sure enough, there is a big banner in one of the shop windows that says "Welcome home, Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins." Obviously, the 3 astronauts from Apollo 11 mission to the moon. So yeah, it's definitely. And I think there were some other bands as well that sort of say Vietnam, bring our troops home, that sort of thing. So definitely a late 60s setting for Indy 5. So maybe the whole original idea of this Fountain of Youth possibly was a red herring. But yeah, so that's definitely still filming. Whether or not, obviously, Harrison Ford, I suspect, is not involved in that shooting at the moment, where he's still recovering from his shoulder injury. But yeah, so that is still ongoing. What else? Oh, so this week, yes, what have I watched? Resident Evil, Infinite Darkness, the new anime series on Netflix. I enjoyed it. If you've seen the other animated Resident Evil films, it's very, very similar. It's set between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, so you've got Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, following on from where he rescued the president's daughter in Resident Evil 4. And he's at the White House, and there's a breakout of zombies. Now, it is only 4 episodes, and they're only about 22 minutes long. So to be honest, if you put them all together, you've got a film. It's strange. Instead of, say, you've got the previous ones they've done as films. This is, they say it's a series, but it's only like these 4 20-minute episodes. It does actually. I found, though, it did work, being episodic, because you get a sort of cliffhanger at the end of each one, and it did make it feel, sometimes when you're watching the movies, sometimes they feel a bit slow, a bit drawn out in places. Resident Evil's never exactly had the most easiest plot line to follow. There's a lot of convoluted stuff going on. Whereas this I thought it's a much smaller sort of story. Lots of flashbacks to a sort of Black Hawk Down, Mogadishu style story where this helicopter's crashed in, and they've got to try and get out, and then obviously the zombies turn up. And yeah, I did wonder for a bit if we weren't actually going to get, like, a big secret underground laboratory base type bad guy thing with huge mutated monsters. It didn't seem it was going that way, and then it does give you some of that. Yeah, not as much, I said, but not as much as you'd expect. It's a much more say intimate sort of story. Some of the animation looks like very well done cutscenes from the game. Other bits look almost photorealistic. You could drop some of them into live action movies, and I don't think most people would be able to tell. So yeah, it's strange. You get some bits that obviously look quite cartoony, and other stuff is very almost live action feel to it. I enjoyed it. If you're not a fan of the Resident Evil, it's not going to change your mind. Although I would say, because it's a more intimate story, if you haven't actually seen or don't really know anything about Resident Evil, you could watch it and you get the gist of what's going on. Just government conspiracies and zombies, and just enjoy it for the action and the visuals. But yeah, it wasn't. I've seen all the films and they're all sort of much for muchness, and they're okay to watch. But yeah, I actually enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I would. So yeah, that's on Netflix. Say all 4 episodes are there. They're only 20 minutes long. Just binged the whole lot. Pretend it's a film. It was pretty good. The other thing I watched this week, obviously, I went back to the cinema for the first time in about, it must be about 18, 19 months now, to finally see Black Widow, that's just come out, which is obviously the first movie of the MCU Phase 4. Should have had it, I think it was last May, it should have came. Kept getting put back, and finally it's here. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is different in tone, definitely, to some of the other MCU movies. It is... it's a sort of prequel. It's set after Captain America Civil War, when everyone's been captured and just Black Widow and Cap are still on the run, before Avengers Infinity War kicks off. Yeah, so it's a prequel, obviously, because obviously, spoilers. Obviously she died in Endgame, but it's a sort of quasi origin film. It's not massively an origin film. There are bits where you see her as a kid with her sister and her family in America, and that's at the beginning of the film. So, but the actual whole story of how Natasha with the Red Room and how she became a Black Widow has sort of been covered in the Avengers movies. So yeah, it's not like a massive origin part, which was good because, as I say, it's not really necessary. You've got David Harbour and Rachel Weisz as her parents. I'll go into a bit of spoilers, so if you've not seen the film yet, fast forward this bit and watch it again afterwards if you agree with what I say. But oh, that fly! Oh. Right, sorry about that. The fly is no more. He has ceased to be. So apologies if that was Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, he won't be annoying me anymore. So that's good. Where was I? Yeah, so we see Natasha with her family in America to begin with. Her sister, Yelena, played by Florence Pugh, who is an awesome addition to the MCU. She's great, and I hope we get to see more of her. And from the way the film pans out, we definitely will be, I would say. Yeah, like I said, it's a bit of a different feel for a Marvel movie. It's much more of an espionage spy movie. Much more. I've got a Bond and Bourne written down here. Yeah, it's got that feel. We're obviously with Marvel sort of fun thrown in. Lots of chase sequences, followed by fighting sequences. The first part of the movie is pretty much non-stop. It slows down a bit in the middle. I would say it is probably a bit slow for some kids. There were some younger kids in our audience in the cinema who obviously get a bit fidgety, sort of in the middle section, and towards the end it is, I think it's like almost like 2 hours 15, as like most of these things are. And there are bits where it does slow down more. Obviously, yeah, no one's really got any superpowers, so to speak of. David Harbour's character, he is sort of Russia's version of a super soldier, like Captain America. He's obviously got super strength, but he doesn't seem to be on par with Cap. But you've got Rachel Weisz as Melina, who is like Natasha's mother, who's basically like a Black Widow agent in her own right. So yeah, there's lots of hand-to-hand fighting, really good fight choreography in some places. Reminded me very much of bits of Winter Soldier at some point, and then the fight in Civil War where Cap and Bucky, where they first meet up, they're in that apartment. That whole bit, that was very similar to that. Some great car chases. It probably suffers from the usual MCU thing of the villain. Taskmaster is a bit weak. Yeah, literally apart from sort of Thanos, a lot of the Marvel movies, that's probably their biggest downfall is the villain. Taskmaster can basically copy anyone they see, so the fighting styles at various points in the film. They're fighting as Cap. They've got a shield. They've got a bow, so they can fight like Hawkeye. One point, Black Panther moves are copied. That's quite interesting, and that's quite a good idea. There isn't enough of it, I would say. And the sort of battle with Taskmaster at the end doesn't really sort of live up to those big standards. And that's probably the other thing. A bit like with WandaVision, where it was such a different type of show. And then at the end, it just became, oh yeah, here's another big CGI battle in the sky with people flying around and laser beams and stuff. After this whole sort of, I'd say, like more intimate espionage spy film, it does then end up being a big CGI battle in the sky, lots of explosions. But then I say Marvel's detractors will always point that out. But I say, well, at the end of the day, they're comic book films. If you didn't have this massive, great big action sequences, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would say, well, it's not what I signed up for a Marvel comic book movie. So yeah, and then very interesting is the end credit scene. There's only the one, and it's right at the very end, so you have to stick around right to the end. Now, obviously, this film should have come out last May. It should have come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier. So this would have been our first introduction to Don't Call Me Val, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. This would have come, you'd be like, we would have been like, who the hell is this person? Because she doesn't introduce herself. It's just, as I say, and this is big spoilers, so fast forward this bit definitely. Florence Pugh goes to see, is at the grave of obviously Natasha. This is obviously set after Endgame, when Val turns up, and as I say, she doesn't introduce herself, so you wouldn't know who she was had you not seen Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah, Val's got a job for her to do. So obviously Yelena is in the pay of the organisation that Val works for. So she says, "This is your next target," and it's a picture of Hawkeye. So yeah, that's so it would have been quite out of the blue. Obviously now we know a bit about Val. It's almost like a sort of that Nick Fury thing from the end of Iron Man, where he's putting a team together. We know she's got Yelena obviously working with her, and obviously now after having seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, we know that she's also got the US agent, the sort of phony Captain America, is also on a payroll as well. So it looks like she's putting together a team of slightly shady. They're not necessarily bad guys. It's not like it doesn't seem like a Suicide Squad thing where you've got all the bad guys together. But these are people that are definitely on the fringes of morality, let's say. So yeah, Black Widow. If you like that if you like the MCU stuff, it's another solid entry. It's not one of the best. It's not one of the worst. It's probably mid-tier. So it's a different style, slower in places. But then the scenes with the family, that's some of the best stuff when they're all interacting. That's some very funny scenes. The conversations I have around the dinner table, it's quite touching. It's not. There have been some obviously some reviews saying that this is this is a long way. This should have been done a long time ago because. Black Widow was one of the main characters. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a film that needed to exist. We've had most of Natasha's story, as I said before. It's a bit like if they had done a Hawkeye standalone movie. We don't really need that either. So you could argue it's a dispensable MCU movie. It doesn't really add anything. It doesn't bring anything new to the table, and so apart from the little end credit stinger, doesn't really sort of add to the story going forward. Obviously, just the nature of prequels and the fact that we know what comes afterwards and what Natasha's fate is. But yeah, for what it is, yeah, absolutely enjoyable. And the music, I'll shout out to the music. That I normally if you don't notice music if it's integrated really well, but yeah, there's parts, some choirs and on it that I think sort of the Russian influence to it that came across really well. So yeah, give that a go if Marvel is your bag, and why wouldn't it be? That's about it for us this week. So please subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost approaching 100 subscribers. That'd be fantastic to hit that. Until next time, take care and eat geek and be merry.